we want to be the respected advisor, but we tend to act like we're just the door opener. In order to become a better buyer's agent or enhance the experience for the buyer, which is going to lead to an enhanced conversion ratio, we need to make more suggestions.
So many agents out there don't even do a buyer consideration. That somebody wants to see your home, great, I'll meet you at the house, let me show it to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level Up Podcast with myself, Greg Harrelson. This is where I focus on taking you from agent to entrepreneur. As you know, I have a passion for developing agents. And on today's episode, I'm going to share another quick strategy on how you can increase your production. I'm going to be real, so you be ready. Let's level up.
Greg Harrelson here again with my co-pilot Abe Safa, and we are here for another week on the Level Up Podcast. Here's what we've been discussing this week, I should say, because the conversations that we have with you are really more about the discussions Abe and I are having together. And both of us run teams and coach real estate agents, obviously. We experience a lot of frustration with buyer's agents. Buyer agents are always asking, what can I do to do a better job? How can I be more effective? How can I build my business? And I just wanted to kind of, have a discussion with Abe about, the things that people are doing that seem to be fulfilled as a buyer's agent, successfully growing the business, and the things that people are doing that are frustrated when they're building their business. So first off, Abe, thanks for joining me for another week.
My pleasure, Greg. Looking forward.
Buyer agents, frustrations versus fulfillment. I think about we talk about being a better buyer's agent or how to be a successful buyer agent. I think the best thing that just came to my mind was, well, we gotta better at what? And what and better define success, right? Is it how can I make more money? Is that what better is? A better buyer's agent would be, how can I make more money? Is the best agent the one that makes the most money? I don't think that would be the way we would want to define it, but just to make sure that, we kind of clarify for the audience, what should the intention be? What do you think of when you say being a great buyer's agent? What does that mean to you?
Well, I base it on the comments that I get from buyer's agents themselves, right? When we're coaching them. And one of the biggest frustrations is the amount of work that they put in, the amount of running around, the number of showings that they have to show in order to write an offer. So the lack of control of their own schedule. So it's kind of like, I guess, to define it all, probably better efficiency overall.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I also thought of how we make the buyer feel. It's like, I don't want to overuse the word creating a great experience for the buyer, for the consumer. I think that's been overused, that creating a great experience, but I think it's very valid. But if I peel the onion a little bit deeper than the experience, it's like, how am I making the agent feel? Or not the agent, but the buyer feel? How are they, how am I, on a grade of 1 to 10, 0 to 10 or whatnot, 10 being the best, where do I score on them viewing me as an authority? Where do I score on them viewing me as a great resource? These are things that fall into the experience conversation. And I think the success of a buyer agent should be measured by how they're making the agent feel, or back to the experience of the transaction. So that's kind of where I go. So, if you were talking to a buyer agent that was frustrated right now, what's an idea that you could share with them that would say, you know what, this would probably create a better experience for the buyer and a better experience for yourself, and it probably leads you to higher conversion? What's some of the things that come to your mind? I've got a few written down. So,
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is to piggyback off of what you just said, be of value, right? So you're talking about what's the buyer experience like with you? Like, what is your value? Are you bringing value? Are you just someone that opens the door and lets people in? Are you like a trusted advisor? So the whole idea of, look, how valuable am I? How can I bring my expertise? Well, how much expertise do I have, first of all? And how do I bring it to every single transaction, every single buyer? And do I start advising buyers more, as opposed to just kind of showing up and letting them in the door to view properties.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of, I think we get a little bit confused in, we want to be the respected advisor,
Yeah.
but we tend to act like we're just the door opener,
Mhm.
like we're the information giver. One of the things that I mentioned here is, like, in order to become a better buyer's agent or enhance the experience for the buyer, which is going to lead to an enhanced conversion ratio, we need to make more suggestions. And this will like come with the what I just said, which is authority. Okay. It's like if we think about going to an attorney, a high-level attorney for something important, going to a financial advisor, going to a doc, what are we looking for? When we're approaching one of those professionals and we assume their authorities, we seem to assume the position as subordinate to them, making them our authorities. What are we looking for in those that we deem authorities? We're looking for advice. You said that.
Mhm.
We're looking for suggestions. We're looking for recommendations. And Abe, when with my years around real estate agents, I feel like a lot of real estate agents shy away from making suggestions, giving recommendation, or truly advising them for fear that maybe their recommendation would be rejected. Like, hey, you know what, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Buyer, I know you love this home and I'm glad that we're making an offer. I see that you're thinking about offering 489,000. Do you mind if I make a recommendation? You don't have to take it, but do you mind if I make a recommendation to you? Yeah, Greg, what are your thoughts? I recommend that if you really want to buy this home, I recommend that we start our offer at $495,000. I don't think that you're going to get it at 495. I don't think you're going to get it at 489. But what I do is recommend that you come in at the beginning a lot stronger. So then the offer will be respected by the seller, and the seller's likely to show their bottom line right from the get-go versus hide their bottom line through a tit for tat type of negotiation. Then it gets frustrating and then the deal never works out. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just making a recommendation, but I'm not telling them that they have to do it. I'm open to up the space that they can choose not to do it. But I think making suggestions, making recommendations will get you and the buyer a lot further down the road.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, Greg. And one of the main reasons that we are like reluctant to offer suggestions and recommendations is we don't know enough about the buyer. So the first thing I wrote on my list is you have to lead with a buyer consultation. Like so many agents out there don't even do a buyer consultation. That somebody wants to see a home, great, I'll meet you at the house, let me show it to you. Like not knowing anything about the person, they just run it and show the property. So you have to meet the client, even if it's a Zoom call. Look, I understand, especially in our market, where people are coming in last minute to look at property, a quick phone conversation, a Zoom call, and really find out as much as you can about the buyer. Like what's their motivation? Why are they buying? What's their timeline? Things like that. And then when you have that information, not only are you able to make more suggestions confidently, you can also set the tone up front and expectations of how it's going to work with you. So that makes it a whole lot easier on both sides of the transaction there.
Now, I think that was amazing connection that you just made there. Yeah, that really was, I think, brilliant. Before you make the suggestions, because I'm witnessing all these agents having no confidence in making suggestions and rejection and recommendations. And you're right. I can see your point is they know enough about the buyer. Kind of like my doctor doesn't. I notice my doctor doesn't make suggestions until they know enough about what I got going on. So that's really good.
You say it all the time, Greg, when it comes to listing agents, like you have to be in information gather mode before you get into information giver mode. And I don't think it's any different with buyers agents and buyers.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think that we sometimes make the mistake that we feel like to provide better value, we've got to say yes faster to showing them a particular property. Now, I do believe we should get on to showings fast, okay? Because that gets you face to face and gets you connected with people. But I'm just talking about on the call itself, the first initial call. Yes, can I help you? Yes, I can set this. Okay, we'll meet up tomorrow at 2:00, or would 3 be better? 2:00's fine. Okay, see you tomorrow. I'll send you a text just to remind you. And then that it's like we feel good about that call. That call was short. It was sweet. It was ended up in an appointment, but like you didn't really prep yourself to be able to show up for the way that you need to show up tomorrow. Slow it down on that initial call. Set the appointment fast, but before you get on to the next thing, slow it down, get to learn a little bit more about the customer or the future client. So when you go there, you've got a plan to connect deeper. And on the connecting deeper, and then I'll ask you for another one, is when we do this, you're going to build more rapport. You build rapport not by talking to yourself about yourself and not by showing property. You build rapport through asking questions and learning about them. When they're talking about them and themselves and what they're looking to accomplish, why they're thinking about buying, when they're talking about those things, that's how you build rapport. Build rapport equals gain trust. Gain trust makes people feel safe. Make people feel safe, that's who they buy from.
When they feel safe and they trust you, they're also more likely to listen to your suggestions. They're also more likely to follow your guidance instead of arguing with you or conflicting with you in your thoughts. So if you're doing the buyer consultation, you're asking questions, you're learning about that buyer, you're also going to minimize the number of showings that you're going to show every single buyer. So if you feel yourself, you're going around and just going property to property, and the buyer is just saying no, 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 then consider that you just haven't learned enough about that buyer yet. So if you can catch that up front, not only are you going to show them better homes that fit their needs, you're going to show them less homes, most likely, and create less confusion on their part and less frustration. Right. But another thing I wanted to mention, Greg, and I think we stress this a lot with listing agents in our coaching, but I think it's just as important with buyers agents. Like you have to own your schedule. You have to take control of your schedule. You have to set boundaries. Like I see buyers agents a lot more likely to take a call at 10 p.m. than a listing agent. Yeah. Right. So you have to set boundaries. You have to own your schedule. Time block, time for calling leads every single morning to keep the pipeline full. That's your schedule. You own it. Time block, time for showing property. Time block, time for consultations. It's your schedule. You can be in total control of it. But like you said earlier, like we happen to be in default mode that if someone asks for something, we're quick to say yes. Like if someone says, can you meet me at 9:00 to see this home? Yes, I could be there. Right? It could be that person just picking some arbitrary time at 9 a.m. because they think that's when they start. Right? So be more in control of your schedule is what I would say. Because that's to me, that's probably one of the biggest complaints I get from buyers agents is like they feel like they're working all the time, like 24/7. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. It's interesting in absence of this, like if you're not making suggestions on when to meet, just understand the buyer is going to make the suggestion. And whoever suggests first is probably going to get what they want. If you don't say, I suggest we meet at 2 because of your schedule. If you don't say that, they're going to say, I said, how about we meet at 9? And whoever makes the suggestion, the other person's going to say yes. So be the one that's making the suggestion. Don't wait for them to make the suggestion. Here's a thought, and I want this to resonate with people. By the way, Abe and I have a coaching program we call Agent Success Academy. In the comment section before, we'll post a link to Agent Success Academy. Please check it out. We've got agents in there right now taking, anywhere from 10 to 20 listings every single month, like clockwork, just following the coaching that we're giving. So check out Agent Success Academy. But I also wanted to make sure I wrote this down. Never thought about this before. I don't believe I've ever said this before, but I just wrote it down while you were talking. Be the authority without making the buyer feel like the subordinate. So we can be the authority, like be overbearing and like, make them feel small. We surely don't want to do that. We want to be the authority at the same time, not making them feel like a subordinate. Because the buyers, one of the things that I know, they want to be told what to do. Based on what you're telling me, it looks like this property right here could be the one. Why don't we go ahead and make an offer? No, I don't think so. That's okay. It's just, why don't we go ahead and make an offer? Why don't you go ahead and make an offer on this one? What do you think about making an offer on this one? Making those suggestions, telling them what to do, making those recommendations, make you the authority. But the way that I'm saying it, hopefully, is not making you feel like you're a subordinate. I could say, Abe, this is the one you need to make an offer on. The rest of them, you don't want them. Now that's different. Now I'm telling them what to do, making them feel like, they need to follow my lead with that tone and that inflection. But what you want to do is you want to be the authority without making them feel like a subordinate. I think that's one way to be a much more powerful buyer's agent. Any final thoughts, Abe?
Yeah, man, that's a great one. I've never actually thought of it that way because I'm always telling agents, look, you got to be the authority, but I never thought about them taking it the wrong way and thinking, okay, well, I'm the authority that is subordinate. Yes, being the authority can be as simple as just your mannerism, your confidence. Like, hey, this is what I do. I got this. Trust me. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. I've been through this. This is exactly what we should do. Like, that's being an authority. So yeah, it doesn't have to be bossy or pushy or too salesy. It can be just in the confidence that, hey, you've been through this. You know exactly how it's going to play out. And this is what I suggest that you do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, good. Well, hey, everybody, do us a favor. Please, give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit the subscribe button. That really helps us. It notifies you when we do these. We are doing these on a weekly basis. So that's great. But we want you to get the notifications and check out Agent Success Academy. Go check it out and consider joining Abe and I. Look, it's a live call every week. There's over 200 recordings in there right now. They're all master classes. They're anywhere from 45-minute to 1 hour deep dives on particular subjects that will help you grow your business. Low cost, cancel anytime, no contract. So check out Agent Success Academy. Abe, thank you for being here. We'll see you next week in the same spot.